Alright, back to our landing page. So we have this HTML. We want our website to look like this though. We're not even close, or at least it doesn't look like it. But it's actually just a little bit of code causing the difference from here to here. Now, I purposely didn't go into this header part and get rid of any of these links because we're going to need the style sheet right now. Now in Replit, it's already been created for you. It's right here. So it's a style.css and it's blank. Now the first thing I'm going to do is go back to my page and look, okay, what is different about this? And I look and all the text is all centered. Now because every single piece of text in the body is centered, I'm going to go into my body part of my code. So to get that, I'm going to go body. And anything I type in here is going to affect everything that is in my body of my HTML code, meaning all of this is going to get affected right now. So going back to this, then we can see that I want to center everything. So I'm going to type in text, align, and I just want it centered. And it even gives me some other options. Like when I start writing, I can go left, right, start, I want center. And just make sure you use a semicolon to end that. Run it right away, what happens? Ah, perfect, everything's centered. It already looks way closer to what we have here. Okay, next, this background would be nice to do, I think. Especially because we're going to be playing around with the size of some of this. So maybe it might be nice to see what that background's going to look like so we know what looks good. Now that background can also be done in the body part. So I'm just going to type in background. And you can already see there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. We can do the color, clip, I want a picture. And so I'm going to use a URL. And now I just need to type in where it is. Now it's going to be in my image folder. I haven't put it there yet. So I'm going to just drag and drop this again. I believe I put this in here for us. Yes, landscape. I got it from Pixabay as well. So you can go there and find it, or I can give it to you. All right, now I'll put the exact address. So it's image/landscape, right? Yeah. Again, make sure you put these to be nice names so that you don't, it's not working because of a 3 or a random L or something in there. Okay, and let's run this. And okay, well, almost perfect. It's kind of hard to see what's happening. I'm going to go into a new tab and see, does it look the same? Oh, okay, there's the full image. But it's kind of, everything's pushed to the top, whereas if you look, mine is centered both ways. So that's good to know. So let's get rid of that. Okay, going back then to our other page. What else should we do here? The font also looks a little bit different. Okay, so again, all the font I think is the same one. So we're going to do it in the body. We'll do font family. Now the reason you do font family is so that you, if the computer can't do one of them, it'll just pick the next one in the family. And if it doesn't have that one, you can do the next one. So a really common one to use is Arial. Not sure why this did not come up properly. Let's just retype this here. Font family. It's not happy about this. Oh, because I didn't put a semicolon. I just told you to do that, and then I didn't do it. There we go. Font family. Okay. And I believe I used Arial. So as soon as I type in Arial, there we go. So if the computer has Arial, it'll use it. But if it doesn't, for some reason, it'll use the next one. If it doesn't have that, it'll use the next one. Again, use a semicolon to end this. And all of it should change now. Perfect. Slight difference. Still, I think looks better. Okay, it's time to actually push this down, I think. So for that, we're going to change the padding in this. Now, to check where it is, if we go into our new tab. All right, to see what the padding is, we're going to go look at the inspector on this page. So I'm going to just click somewhere and hit inspect element. And now I can choose what element I want to look like the H1 or H2 or the paragraph. And you can see that it's on the page as I'm going over it. The different paddings are showing up. So the padding's showing up in yellow. Now we want to play with the body because we want the whole thing to be moved down. So if we look, the padding is very, very small. And so we're going to change that to move it down a little bit. So padding. Now I'm going to do that to the top. And you can see you can do bottom and right. So we're just going to do the top. And let's just do 100 pixels to see how that looks. So we'll run. And then we'll go back here and just replay. And it doesn't actually look like it changed. Padding top. Because I don't want a space there. There we go. All right. Oh, you can see a big difference already. So, okay. So we've got that much space. How much do I have over here? Oh, even more yet. Okay. So let's make that 200 then. Okay. Let's run that. And I should be able to refresh this. There we go. Ah, that looks closer, I think. Yeah. We're gotta look where the G is here, and it's close enough, I think. All right, maybe when I change some other stuff. Okay, so now we're getting closer and closer to what we look like. It's centered, it's away from the top, but now the sizes kind of look off, and the horizontal rules kind of stop here. So let's play around with the heading 1, because it's a different size than everything else. So I only want to do the header 1, so I'm just going to type in H1. And we're going to look at the font size. Now, I already know what font sizes I used. You can play around with it. You might have to guess. So 70 pixels. Okay, so we can run that. You should be able to see right away. Ooh, it's way bigger. Now, if I just go to my other page, I have to refresh this. Perfect. You can see on mine, it's kind of put into a second line because my screen's so small. But if I just extend it, maybe we can do that. We don't need that much space there. So it looks good. What else? The font size looks different. Oh, the weighting looks a little bit different too, though. This is a little more like kind of bold. So to change that, I'm going to decrease it. I'm going to do the font weight. And I put it to 500. Again, if you didn't know that, you have to play around with it. So yeah, it doesn't look quite as bold anymore. And now it should match what we have before. It does. Perfect. All right, so let's just compare our two. So this is what we have right now. And this is what we're aiming for. So getting closer for sure. The H2 actually looks the same to me. And it's in the exact same location. So our padding must be good. Okay. The learn about computer science does look different though. So that paragraph. Now for that, we don't want all the paragraphs to be different. So we are going to have to change the HTML code just a little bit. Now, so I'm going to go back to my HTML code, and that's a specific paragraph that I want to do something with. So I'm going to put an ID on it. So ID equals focus. Now you could name this whatever you want. You should just name it something that means something to you. So going back then to my style CSS. Now to get just that paragraph then, I need to use hashtag focus. So that's calling that ID. And now the CSS knows, hey, he wants to do something to that paragraph. Now let's just make sure it's working. I'm going to change the font size. I know that was one of the issues. Again, you'd have to go back and forth. I put it to 24 pixels. So let's just run that and see if that changes. It does, perfect. Now notably, this didn't change though. Okay, so our other paragraph didn't change. That's perfect. Is there anything else that's going to change with that? Let's see. It actually looks like it is a different font as well. So let's just do a different font family. And I think I use Veranda or Verdana for that one. Oh, sorry, font family. There we go. And Verdana, there we go. Okay, so that should look a little different. Again, only that one should look different. Just looks a little nicer when you got some different fonts in there. And anything else that I did? Let's go back and forth. Now it's just kind of time to go back and forth. It looks like there's a gap here. And if I go into my big screen, there's not a big enough gap here. So this is a padding thing again. So if I go back to inspect element, you can see the padding is in yellow. And I just need to make that a little bit bigger between it and the horizontal rule. So we'll do padding, and that's going to be my bottom, or sorry, we're going to use margin there. And I only want it to be the bottom. I already know I've done this, so I know it's 60 pixels is what I used. But you should see a bit of a gap showing up now. Perfect. It will be identical. The other thing, it's not so noticeable, but there is a little bit more space between the lettering here, and I just thought it looked a little bit nicer. And that's something you can play around with. So I do want to show you how to do that. So we're going to go letter, spacing, and I just did 0.5 pixels. Now, we'll see what that looks like. It's just a little bit more space between them. But if we get too big, like let's say I did like 2 pixels, it's going to look huge gaps between here. So a little bit of space looks nice, too much, maybe not as much, or makes it easier to read. All right, let's just compare our main 2 pages to see how we're doing. So we've got that space there, and got that space there. So those two actually look identical. Now we just got this horizontal rule, and I'm going to deal with that. Now the horizontal rules we can deal with both at the same time. We both want them shortened, so I can just call up horizontal rules, and I want them smaller, so not as wide. So I'm going to change the width of them. And let's just do 100 pixels just to see what that would look like. Oh, they're just tiny now. Okay, so you can play around with it a little bit. I know I use 600. Okay, so now it should match. And if you go here, yeah, now it's starting to look nice. Okay, we only got one left, and that's just the quote. Now, is there anything with that quote that's really different? Oh, just the one part is italicized. It looks like the size is the same and the font's the same. Especially if you look at this Thomas Edison part, it's just italicized. Now, because we only want that one paragraph, we're going to have to go back into our HTML, and we're going to have to find that paragraph. It's right here, and just give it an ID. And I'm just going to give it the ID quote. Again, it doesn't really matter what you call it, but calling it something that makes sense to you is better. So then we're going to go hashtag quote, and I just want to italicize it. So I'm going to go font style and italic. It comes up right away for you, which is kind of the nice thing. We'll replit. And there we go. So if I go back here, it should look identical. You can't even tell that I'm switching pages other than the inspector. It's going back and forth. All right, that is it.